All right, y'all ready? Well, thank y'all for coming up this afternoon, and I want to specifically thank my Revenue Secretary, Kimberly, for working so hard, and I want to thank Sam Jones and a lot of members of the legislature as well. As you all know, in the Ways and Means Committee today, the commercial activity tax did not succeed. It's obviously not going to come out of committee. The truth is the fate of that bill was decided long before we unveiled it. And that's pretty sad because it is not the whole plan that we have, but it's part of a comprehensive plan to address the fiscal cliff that hits us July 1st of next year, $1.3 billion. But more than that, it's about restoring fairness. The simple fact of the matter is 80% of our corporations pay no income tax. And if you look at the revenue mix for the state of Louisiana, 39%, for example, comes from the sales tax, 39% from individual income tax, 3%, that's 3%, from the corporate income and corporate franchise tax combined. That is not a fair, balanced system, and we were trying to address part of the cliff and restore fairness to our system all at the same time. Unfortunately, this approach was not successful. And we still have many measures out there that are part of our plan that come directly from the task force report that met for most of a year to come up with a strategic way to reform both our tax structure and our budget here in Louisiana. Those measures remain pending before the legislature and a lot of other measures as well. And so now it's incumbent upon the legislature, and particularly House leadership, to unveil a plan. They haven't done that yet. And of course, it appears to me that there ought to be a lot of common ground between their approach and what's left of our legislative package. Things like lowering rates and broadening the base of the individual income tax, the corporate income tax, the sales tax, all of which come from the Task Force 11 report. So at this point in time, I'm looking for the House leadership to step up, offer solutions, not just continue to say no, but to offer solutions and a plan, and having a good, healthy discussion with them going forward so we can fix our problems. This is what we're halfway through, I guess, week 3. This is a 2-month session, so it isn't like we have an awful lot of time to get this done. And there is no reason why we should not rise to the challenge and fix these problems in this session so that we don't have to have special sessions before July the 1st, 2018 in order to address the cliff. With that, I will take a couple of questions.
Governor, you are the governor of the state.
Well, thank you, Tyler.
You often talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And your plan in the final iteration this morning did not fill the fiscal cliff. So what is the additional plan that you are going to offer to fill that fiscal
Well, first of all, there are enough measures pending before the House Ways and Means Committee that come straight from the task force report. And you heard multiple members of the committee who were not for the commercial activity tax who seem to embrace the task force and its report and the things that it does call for. You know, whether it's on excess itemized deductions or a number of other issues. But you know, I make no apology for the fact that the commercial activity tax was changed over time in response to concerns that we were hearing from legislators. That's what the legislative process looks like. You make changes after those discussions and try to find a way forward that will get the support necessary. Even though you don't achieve everything you want to achieve, you do achieve in part the fix of the cliff, but also restoring some fairness. So we thought that by excluding, for example, all the pass-through entities, the LLCs, the subchapter S corporations, and the partnerships, and focusing only on those corporations that are not paying income tax, that we had a much better chance with the folks on that committee. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but it's part of the legislative process, and there are plenty of instruments before the legislature right now that are available to fix the problem. Yes, sir.
Governor, are there measures outside of your package that you've looked at or that members have brought to you that you see that you could throw your support behind?
Well, sure. I mean, look, ranging across the entire spectrum, there are instruments before the legislature and the Ways and Means Committee that either in their present form or with some modification we can support. But it's going to be up to the committee itself now to figure out what it wants to support. At some point, it can't just keep voting things down. It's got to figure out what it wants to do. And as I mentioned before, there's still a lot of measures before that committee that come directly from the task force. And the committee members seem to be embracing the task force report. So we're gonna see whether that is in fact the case. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any feeling about how the proposal to broaden the base, how that is going? That seems to be getting some traction.
The base of which, because
Sales.
there's
Sales.
three. Oh, sales tax. Well, we would hope that gets attraction, because the simple fact of the matter is the retail sector is not growing, not just in Louisiana, but anywhere in the country, the way that the service sector is. And not only is it not growing, but so much of the retail sector is not available to us in sales tax because of the remote sales through catalogs but primarily through the internet. And even with Amazon coming online, it is only going to collect and remit sales taxes for those items that are purchased through Amazon that come through their distribution facilities, which is a minority of the purchases. And so if we want to move forward by expanding the base on the sales tax, we have to do things like expanding to more services. We already tax some services with sales tax in Louisiana, but using, for example, Texas as a model, there are a number of services that we can expand the sales tax to in terms of expanding the base in exchange for the lower rate, going from 5 cents to 4 cents. Because I continue to believe that the fifth penny should roll off the books on June 30th of 2018, exactly as scheduled by the legislature when they enacted it last year. Yes, ma'am.
Governor, there was some criticism about how late the gross receipts tax bill got filed and the fact that it seemed to be a fairly new idea. Do you think you did enough to sell it to the legislature and to get people on board with the concept?
Well, let me tell you, Melinda, it's not that difficult of a concept. It's also a simple concept to know that 80% of the corporations are not paying any income tax to the state of Louisiana. It's a simple concept to know that the total revenue is 3% coming from the corporate franchise and income tax combined. It is simple to know that that is not fair, it's not balanced, it's not right for the people of Louisiana. And so, you know, I make no apologies for that. One of the reasons that we were delayed in filing it is we were working with legislators across the spectrum, House and Senate, Republican and Democrat, until the last possible minute to try to put it in a posture that would receive some support. Ultimately, we weren't successful, and we're going to keep working.
Last question.
Is there specific legislation you're going to get behind going forward, or are you really just counting on Ways and Means to make the next move?
Well, I think you weren't listening to what I said earlier. This was one bill in our package. We have many, many others, and the others come directly from the task force report. And so it's important that we move forward on those. Based on what the committee has said over the last couple of days, they should be well received. These other instruments, because they do come from the task force report, there will still be a part of the cliff that doesn't get resolved unless we adopt some measures some instruments, I should say, that are not in my package, but there are plenty out there from which to choose. And so as we move forward, absolutely, we're going to be engaged. We're going to be talking to legislators to make sure that we do fix this problem. It doesn't make any sense that we wouldn't fix this problem in the last scheduled fiscal session before the fiscal cliff. And we're going to keep working day and night to make sure that happens.
And I guess, I'm sorry, just to follow up on that, I understand what you meant by that, and I don't mean for you to pull out your calculator at this point, but is what is left over, I suppose, enough to make up for what?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of instruments out there that would fill the rest of the cliff if they were willing to embrace those approaches. And by the way, there are so many bills out there that can still be amended to do things that they don't currently do. I mean, that's just the nature of the legislative process. So we have so many options available to us, but we got to stop wasting time. We're in the third week, and nothing has happened. And there is no plan from the legislative leadership in the House to rally around and that we can move towards. And so that's one of the challenges here.
Okay, guys,
But
thank
thank y'all
you.
very much.